Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, it's time for the 12th installment of the Old Humble Game Time Conflict of Nations Season 2. We started this season. Let's go with removing this title screen so you can see my gorgeous face. Ba-bam! We started this season. We move this camera up here so we can do better. We started this season playing two positions in this game, Austria and Virginia. And, well, we got the hell beat out of us in Austria. And then, actually, I think we started playing three positions, France, Austria, and Virginia. We, what did we do? We won France. We lost Austria, or we won Austria. I guess we got 10th place in Austria. We survived Austria to end game. And then Virginia, it appears that we are winning right now, but there's still a bunch of game to play. I am drinking mostly water for this particular game time. And we're about to jump into the action that's already in progress. And I say action very loosely because the game that we're playing, Conflict of Nations, is a real-time, here's the title screen again. It's a real-time strategy game. And by real-time strategy game, what I mean is the time in the game passes the same way time in real life passes. You know, an hour's an hour, a day's a day, a week's a week, et cetera, et cetera. So if it takes 5 hours to go from one location to the next, you can go do some stuff and come back 5 hours from now, and then you'll be in the next location. It's a relatively slow moving game, which brings in a lot of variables and a lot of interesting things. You can see the game progress, and you can kind of step back and take a breath and build strategies out. But it also means you have to do your attacks and your strategies in such a way to accommodate the time. You can't just like lightning attack against like all of an opposing position because it takes time to roll through all of their places and builds and whatnot. So I am the Old Humble guy, owner and operator of the Old Humble Distilling Company. I do have work to do in just about 2 hours. I'm heading back to the distillery to finish the build out on our electrical room and hose wall. But in the meantime, I've got this to update. So let's jump in, shall we? Boop, there we go. Here is the map. We are focused on, this is going to be my game cam. I've actually taken down my tripod that I was using for the Old Humble Happy Hour, which is why camera angles are weird. My tripod is in the distillery where I am recording the build out. This first phase of the build out is actually pretty simple. It's just a 3-wall room enclosing our electrical boxes so that water doesn't get under them on the floor. It kind of keeps a little barrier around them for water, as well as gives me a wall to hang my hoses and stuff upon, and possibly even graffiti and whatnot for some of my more degenerate, my friends who are more degenerate than I am, and artistic, because they're really fantastic artists. Well, let's jump into that. Let's make this full screen. Thank you. And then let's look at the map. Okay, so let's go to the news real quick, because that'll show us the map and how it's changed over the last 7 days. In fact, it can show us how it's changed over the last 7 days, as a matter of fact. But we're going to go back to day 1 and kind of show how the game progressed from the beginning. It's just a little historical recap. So I started off in Virginia. I'm still in Virginia, as a matter of fact, this little red blob over here. And you can see in the first day, we moved up into Maryland and down into North Carolina. And then Texas, you can see where Texas is down here along the coast. That is an interesting uh, two shades of Texas there, which is unusual. Texas moved up into Oklahoma early and east into Arkansas and uh, over towards the Mississippi River. And then the next couple of days, you can see, or you will be able to see, they moved up in through Florida and into uh, Mississippi and Alabama, and Florida moved up into Georgia. I consolidated my hold over on West Virginia, or into West Virginia, Maryland, and all that. Then, as time progressed, I moved down into Georgia and Florida, and eventually took on Texas in this first week. And you'll be able to see that by day 7, I think I was all the way through Alabama and Mississippi. Yeah, and I had started moving into Texas. I had captured all of Texas's major cities by the end of the second week, and then Texas built a bunch of tanks and came back at me. But then, uh, but then Louisiana decided to get in on the game, and they attacked me. So I decided to make Louisiana my little pet project for a couple of weeks. And New York also got in, and you see New York streaked down through Maryland there. So I had to deal with New York and deal with Louisiana. And Nuevo Leon decided to also get into it. Nuevo Leon, this position down here just south of Texas. They all decided to get in on it as well. So over the course of the next several days, I took care of New York. You see the red moving north into New York. I cleaned out Cuba because that's where Florida had a bit of a stronghold. I cleaned out all of Louisiana. Louisiana was done for, and now we are into day 27 or so, and Texas and Florida and Cuba are done for. Nuevo Leon is done for. And now we are in a position on day 30 something. What day is this? Day 30 on the map, where I have consolidated everything from New York, basically the border of Maine, which is the north end of New York, the south end of Maine. We have a border up there all the way through the American Southeast and into Texas, which is technically the start of the American Southwest, the end of the Southeast, and then the beginning of the Southwest. Nuevo Leon, all their cities are mine. California, as if you were watching, they smeared themselves all the way down here now to touching Nicaragua and me. We share a border with California, which is very helpful. They have a choke point here at Mexicali. We can go to the big map and show that off. There's a choke point there at Mexicali, which is just to the north of the Baja. Is that a bay or a sea? Is this the Baja Sea? I think that's the. I don't know what that is. I think that's the Baja Sea. Anyway, Mexicali is right here. There's a choke point into California. That is their last annexed city, and everything else after that is homeland cities, except for Carson City here in Nevada. That's also annexed. Arizona is here. Arizona, California, and Saskatchewan, this big green blob up here in the north, they're all allied. And the last time we were here, the really cool development was math. The math was that, pardon me, I've got a tickle in my throat. The math was that there's 3,100, roughly 3,100 and something victory points on the map to be had. And with 3,100 victory points on the map to be had, I, as a solo player, only need 1,700 points to win the game, which means everybody else on the map can have up to 1,400 points, and I can still get my 1,700 points just by pulling the non-player positions off the map and being done with it. And that's still the case. The player positions combined don't have 1,400 points. Only the non-player positions. I can go after all of the non-player positions and still I can manage to play just AI. However, Saskatchewan, California, and Arizona teamed up into a coalition of 3 members. And coalitions of 3 members, in order to win the game, need 2,550 points. In order to get 2,550 points, they need to get all but 600 points on the map. And if you can see up here on my screen, I have 902 points, which means they're going to have to go through me at some point in order to win this game. So war is inevitable. That means I've been gearing up for war over the past week. What does that mean? Well, let's go back to the big map and I'll show you. That means I have been moving tanks. I've been dealing with New York and getting New York cleaned up and finished. But I've also been moving tanks west as fast and as quick as I could. You see all these lines going into Houston down here. We are moving our way up into Amarillo. And next stop is going to be Albuquerque and then the rest of Arizona. I know that California has a little base up here, but I'm not terribly worried about it because he still has to go through all this, and it's going to take him 2 or 3 days to get through that. And in the process of moving through all this, I will rebuild another wave of tanks. I also have a bunch of tanks down here moving into, after we have dealt with the nuisance that is Nuevo Leon. And I call them a nuisance because they're not a strategic threat anymore. They can't build any units because I have all their cities. They can't build any units or cause any problems. All they have left is whatever's in their hinterlands. Pardon me, and I'd be able to deal with all that as needed. But I have an elite tank battalion down here in Monclova, and that is a straight line into Chihuahua, Mexicali, and onward. Oh, this arrow right here pointed at San Diego. What's that, you say? That's my Navy. That's the first ship of my Navy. That's a Corvette coming to bombard the coast. And here's a fun fact. You can scroll through their cities and see what they have built as far as public buildings go. He has a harbor in San Diego. He has a harbor in Los Angeles. He has a harbor in San Francisco. And he has a harbor in Eureka. That's all fine and good, old humble guy. What the hell does that mean, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. You can only build ships at a naval yard, which is a harbor, a level 2 or higher. He doesn't have level 2 naval yards, which means he doesn't have a navy. You can also look and see in his cities, he has a level 2 army base. That's great. Level 2 army base. That's great. Level 2 army base. That's great. Carson City, level 2 army base. Notice no airfields. Level 2 army base. And oh, look, Sacramento has a level 3 air base. That's interesting to know. We'll talk about that in just a second. There's a level 1 air base, which is interesting to know, and a level 2 army base. Reading, no air base, level 2 army base. No air base, level 2 army base. What about Carson City? Oh, no air base there either. What does that tell you? He doesn't have, his only air bases are way over there. He does not have, if we look over here in his Sioux City holding, which is an occupied city, and Lincoln, which is an occupied city, he doesn't have air bases here either. That tells me he does not have a capability of sending bombers into my main cities. Interesting that, huh? He has no air bases. Saskatchewan has no air bases. Madison is a holdout. It's a rogue state. There's no air bases. There's no air bases. He cannot send his bombers to attack me, which is great. At least in my main cities, he can't send bombers to attack me. But I have anti-air defenses in my main cities anyway. So bring your bombers. That's fine. Meanwhile, I'm building bombers, and my most forward air base is in Amarillo. Amarillo gives me the chance to reach all of the West Coast. Interesting. And it also gives me a chance to put a fighter squadron in front of my front line, which will help me to control the airspace above my units. This will be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. Now, there was also a really interesting development on the news rag this morning, And it is right here. California is the new member in the world's nuclear club. They are currently the only member in the world's nuclear club, which is very, very interesting to see. Also, the world's largest economy, mine is 30% larger than California's, which is also very significant and important. Now, if California is the only member of the nuclear club, in order for them to build ICBMs, they have to have a level 4 secret lab. In order to build ballistic missiles, they need a level 3 nuclear or a secret lab. They can't reach me. At best, they can hope to launch cruise missiles at my units from forward position. And in my research, I'm finishing my guided missile program and going to work my way up to the cruise missile program, and all of my jets and bombers will be platforms. Also, my corvettes and destroyers will be platforms for cruise missiles, which I will be able to unleash on California. Now, California is in second place in the game, and that's all fine and good. I've told my neighbor down in Nicaragua that if they stay active to the end of the game, they'll get their gold points. They'll get their gold from their victory points at the end of the game. I've reached the southern extent to where I want to go. I don't need to go any further south for territorial purposes. So if he can hold and hang in there and take care of business against California, he will do just fine. He will be able to do just get this guy up to, I think he needs to go up to Amarillo. Yeah, he needs to go to Amarillo. And I need probably one more air base. So I'm going to do Odessa, I believe, as another air base. Let's go ahead and put that one down. I don't need an air base to build bombers or anything like that. I need air bases for the bombers to land at and to be able to reach across the country. I have plenty of resources back here in the east in order to be able to build and deploy units. The challenge is getting them across the country because tanks still have to drive. Infantry units can pick up and fly across the country, but tanks have to drive across the country, which is a pain in the butt. It means you basically have to build twice as many tanks in order to get
reporting for duty.
In order to deploy those guys out into the field. Oh, yay, I've got another ship. In order to deploy those guys out into the field because it just takes so damn long to get them out there. And if you lose a unit, you've got to figure out a way to replace that unit, and it can take 4 days, 4 freaking days, to drive a tank across the country. And that, my friends, is a pain in the big old butt. A big old pain in the butt. I'm going to go ahead and give the order to bombard San Diego a second time. Now, the reason I'm not bombarding Mexicali, which would be the first city that we run across, is getting up here to the Bay of Baja sucks because then you have to get back out here. And I hope that my tanks will be in Mexicali before my ships will be in Mexicali. In fact, they are ready to go. This is a full
ready to roll,
and it is ready to go into
armor on the prowl.
Then where I think I want to go with these guys is just straight up into the heart of California. I don't think I want to hold California territory. I think I just want to just drive through, toss Molotov cocktails, let the cities burn. I want to take his cities away from him and make it impossible for him to build units and counterattack. I want to damage his ability to continue to fight. and make it impossible for their coalition to get 2,500 points. I need to get 17. I'm at 902. California by themselves has almost enough for me to win the game. But I don't want California, Saskatchewan, or Arizona to be in the top three. There is enough victory points in Kansas, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maine, Quebec, all these guys up there to be able to win the game. There's enough victory points up here in the Northeast that I believe I can win the game. But logistically speaking, it's easier to take this land up here. Game wise, it's harder because the AI sits there and just pumps out infantry and recon battalions and has them in every single stinking region, and it's just a pain in the ass to go through all those stupid units that are just scattered around the map for no strategically important reason. So you have to have one giant stack of units just stomping their way through one province at a time. In player positions, you can get just a couple of small stacks and scatter them out. And somewhere in there's going to be a couple of units. But for the most part, you'll be able to get most of the land and most of the territory under your control fairly quickly because they don't just have their units scattered all over the place. They play like players because they're human beings and they're real players. And they mass up stacks and they launch attacks as opposed to just scattering units all over the place and holding territory. Which I suppose is a good strategy all by itself, but it's really, really freaking annoying. Absolutely freaking annoying. So, okay, I have not lost. This was the last unit that I lost, was up here in Wyndham, but I believe we will be able to have this all wrapped up very soon. New York is a giant pain in my ass. They had two massive stacks of units, and we have had to. I've had to send several divisions to go and beat them up, and it is getting old and tiresome. And I wish they would just vanish. But there is not an option to decommission units. Once you build them, they're there forever, which is unfortunate. It's good for you, the player, because you can scatter units all over the place and be a thorn in everybody's side, like Texas and Florida were. But it's also not good for players because once you have these nuisance turd burgers who are out there with units scattered all over the map, it takes forever to weed them out and clean them out and pull them up by the roots. So we have a massive units heading over here to Austin and Amarillo to finish cleaning up tech. This is the blue unit. The blue space here is Florida. The green space here is Texas. Their last couple of provinces before they're gone. Texas has 2 units still on the map that I know of. Florida has a couple of units still on the map up here in the Panhandle area. They're going to be gone soon. And then I will fly my elite infantry commander to Amarillo and then begin the assault on Arizona. And I believe the result of this should be complete control of the American Southeast and the American Southwest as we move our way up into California. I know California has bombers. He built a few in Sacramento, but that's the only space that he has to build bombers. And once I have my bomber fleet, that is going to be the first target. I'm going to just send them all to Sacramento and I'm going to level it to the ground. And then I'll start picking off every other city that they have and just wipe them out. Based on his army base, the best anti-air defense he has is basic mobile anti-air vehicle. This one right here, which is the basic one that you get. It's like the first one you get. Um, the artillery that I can produce, pardon me, golly, the artillery that I can produce is far superior to the artillery that he can produce, and my anti-air can handle both. Uh, I've got these positioned in a bunch of cities around the map, and I'm going to be coming out with the Nike uh, anti-missile theater defense systems for in the unlikely event that he does have intercontinental ballistic missiles. I will be able to defend myself against that headache and nosebleed. In fact, I'm going to build a couple of these rocket launchers to help with my assault on uh, the various places that need to be assaulted. Fort Myers will produce one after the ship is done being produced. And then I'll have 3 that will come out in short order altogether. And Richmond will produce one shortly after they're done building another air superiority fighter. Good. So everything's coming together. The next highest ranked as far as experience points and game time player in the game is Arizona. He is level 30. I am level, I don't know, like 37 or something like that. So he's a guy I've been keeping my eye on most. Saskatchewan is like a level 1 or 2. This is like his first or second game. California is on his 7th game, and he's like a level 10 or 11, something like that, which explains the build sequences that he has and what he has produced in his country. I should be very worried about his nuclear weapons capability, but he has to be able to deliver those nuclear weapons. And I know he has ballistic missiles, which means he has ballistic missile launchers. But I don't think he has the ability to actually hit me with those ballistic missiles, especially once I get the Nike theater defense systems up and running. And if I move fast enough, he won't be able to actually hit me with that, because you can't build ballistic, or you can't research ICBMs. This is the nuclear weapons program on the tech tree. You can't research ICBMs until after you research nuclear weapons. So he's going to have ballistic missiles, but they can't reach me. He's not far enough east for those to be able to reach me. I know how far east you have to get. You have to be in like St. Louis. I know he's in Sioux City and those places right there on the coast of the Mississippi River, right over here. No, up here. He's up here, and that may be in range, but I've got some strike fighters that I can send up there and stop him from doing, just about anything. He does have a path to get to there, but he's got to go all the way up through and then all the way back down, and that's going to take like a week. He doesn't have a path. There's no direct path through Montana from Arizona up here, so I don't know if he can reach me. I don't think he can, but we'll see. We shall see. I might be wrong about that. But just to cover my bases, because caution and prudence, especially when it comes to having nuclear bombs dropped upon you, it is good to practice both of those things. In Fort Myers, we will upgrade our Army base to level 5. Fredericksburg, I believe, already has a level 5 Army base in the queue. Nope, but they will. And that'll allow me to produce 3 times as many theater defense systems, anti-rocket or anti-missile defense systems. Those Nike theater defense systems are designed to take out ballistic missiles and intercontinental ballistic missiles. the SAMs that I have now, the surface-to-air missiles, are designed to take out jets and cruise missiles, but they are not. They're not so good against ballistics. So there you go. That's basically where we stand. See, I got bombers in the queue. I'm working on building out my Air Force because I've neglected that for quite a while. I know he has no defense against naval attacks. I know he has bombers. So my strike fighter, this is a strike fighter. That's an air superiority fighter. The strike fighters that I'm working on building are specifically designed for the. I know I have strike fighters in the queue somewhere in here. Maybe it's up here in my build queue. Jets. There's a strike fighter. So I'm not really focusing very hard on the strike fighter. The air superiority fighters obviously are designed to stop airborne attacks. The strike fighters are more designed for ground targets. So they're hey Moose Gal, cheers. Sorry, I was over there on the other screen talking. I didn't see your chats. How many places have I captured? I have captured, oh goodness, all of them. We've got Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, parts of Nuevo Leon. And we are moving into the region of the state of Chihuahua. And we'll soon be going into New Mexico, Arizona, California, etc. Illinois is on the list, but they're not they're not critical right now. I may never even get up into Illinois, to be quite honest. It just may not be on the books. But they'll have their day when I bring when, when we bring peace to the continent. Illinois will benefit from that. Will benefit from my benevolent extension of peace through terror and warfare. All across the land. But where we're at right now in the game, we're on the edge. We're on the precipice of end game. All of the pieces are in place. California has gone nuclear, and they're presenting themselves as my chief rival in the game. California's gone nuclear, but they have a very one-dimensional attack strategy, and it doesn't appear that they have a very solid defense strategy. Their front line is down here in Nuevo Leon, where they have pushed their front line down the coast, and they're moving up here and down here, and it looks like they're attacking against Nicaragua, where Nicaragua and California have been trading blows over this border here with Tula and Mexico City. It looks like they're sparring over this little region. Pardon me, goodness. That just snuck up on me. I think I may be getting a summer cold. But it looks like they're sparring over this little region right here, which is going to open up this in their soft underbelly for me to go after. Now, what I'm worried about, as long as Nicaragua keeps them busy down here, they're not going to move up. They're not going to move north towards the Rio Grande. They're going to be occupied south down here. But that may be an asymmetrical way for them to respond to my attack against them in Chihuahua. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. And quite honestly, if they go and attack into Texas, I don't give a shit, because I got nothing of real strategic value in Texas other than Amarillo and this central area right up here, because that's an air base that I'll be able to use for my bombers to reach all the way into California. And by the time they move to anything important in Texas, I'll have another wave of tanks moving south across the Mississippi River to take them on. They've got a long ways to go before they hit anything of strategic importance on my land. So I'm in a relatively good place right here. I've got units poised to hit them where it hurts. They've got units poised to hit me where it will be a nuisance. And I'm feeling really good about this, but I'm probably feeling better than I should. A lot of things can go wrong. As far as I know, they've got huge artillery complexes or whatever, like stacks and stacks of artillery just waiting for me. And when I show up, they're going to hit me with like 30 howitzer attacks and take out my entire stack of tanks. That's entirely possible. They may have dozens of anti-aircraft units. And those anti-aircraft units, while they're not the best ones on the map, if you put enough of them together, you can take out a whole squadron of jets. It's going to still take me 2 or 3 days to have enough bombers to launch a meaningful attack against Sacramento. It's going to take, there's a whole bunch of stuff that still has to happen over the next 3 or 4 days. So by Friday, let's see here. I think what we'll do is, today's Tuesday. So I think what we'll do is I'll keep monitoring this, and once the attack starts moving towards some critical infrastructure on his side, once things start heating up, then I'll turn on the camera. We'll do a long form live stream and just let it run and see how the attacks roll out. Because I am once we start actually hitting his cities, we're going to see some interesting stuff start to happen, because I'll be able to see what he has waiting for. He may have nothing. He may have absolutely nothing waiting for me, which is entirely possible. He may have everything and the kitchen sink waiting for me. Honest to God, I have no idea. My intel has not revealed a whole lot of information on his side of the map. When I look at my intel, he's got 3 chemical warheads. So he does have secret weapons facilities capable of producing chemical warheads. He does not necessarily have secret weapons facilities capable of producing nuclear warheads. He has a lot of resources to be able to produce more, but if he doesn't have the facilities to do it, it doesn't really matter how many resources he has. He's buying a lot of he's buying a lot of rare elements, and he has built a ballistic missile launcher. So he does have ballistic missile launchers, and he's building them in Sacramento, which means Sacramento, he is building in Sacramento. He does have a secret weapons facility in Sacramento, and we did intercept communications. Saskatchewan is short on supplies and definitely wants Des Moines. So I think my next wave, where's Des Moines, Iowa? Down here. Topeka, Lincoln. Come on, show me. There's Des Moines. It's right in the middle of the damn screen. There's Iowa. Here's Iowa. How can I get to... I can go through Davenport. I'm not ready to open up a whole nother... Interesting development. Knowing that California has a ballistic missile launcher is not terribly worrisome. It's not particularly worrisome because, they still need to get it. They probably need to get it over here in order to be able to reach any part of me. But it also tells me where he has his stuff. My evil laugh. It tells me where he has all his stuff, and if I know where he has his stuff, then he's only done that once. Every time you produce conventional warheads, you get 4. Every time you produce chemical warheads, you get 3. And every time you produce nuclear warheads, you get 2. So he's only done 1 production run of chemical warheads. If we go back, and I don't have any more intel from previous days for California. So we are going to, once I start, I need a couple more days to get enough bombers. Where are my bombers at? Where are my bombers at? Here's my build queue. I've got a bunch more bombers coming. Come on, give me the list. My Air Force, I've got 1 bomber coming, and that should be the only one I have coming. Yeah, I've got 1 bomber coming. And then, so it'll be Thursday before I have 2 bombers. And 2 bombers I'll feel comfortable with sending on bomber runs. But Friday will probably be the first chance I have to have a meaningful bomber run with 3 bombers. And they're just going to bomb the piss out of Sacramento and level it. It'll take out their secret weapons facility. It'll take out their army post. It'll take out all their stuff. So they won't be able to produce any nuclear weapons to come at me. La la la. All right, so we're going to leave it at that. We're going to leave it this is where we will leave it, and we will come back in a couple of days, and we will see. We'll see how things have progressed by Thursday or Friday, and I may turn on the camera again on Saturday night as things start to heat up and get very exciting as we initiate the in-game procedure. We are right on the cusp of it. All the parts are kind of in the right place. The machine is working to build the units that I need. And then it's just going to be a matter of executing the plan and sending the hardware where the hardware needs to go. It's not going to be a tremendous, instead of going from, hold on one more second. Instead of going through Albuquerque from Amarillo, I may choose to go north, straight up to California's, straight up into Iowa and into Saskatchewan instead. Arizona is active, but they don't seem to be very active. Those are just a couple of the options that I've got as far as how this will develop. I'm not 100% sure. Everything is in motion. Everything is fluid. So we'll just see. We'll just see. I take my strategy where the map guides me. Nothing is ever set in stone. Anything can change on any given day, any given way. So we'll just see. We shall see. Current plan: Amarillo into Albuquerque. In the south, Monclova into Chihuahua and Mexicali, and we'll just head west that way. The Amarillo Corps will go through Phoenix and neutralize Arizona. And then, we'll just continue to see where it goes from there. I'm somewhat interested in what Saskatchewan is doing, but I'm not terribly worried about what Saskatchewan is doing because they don't have a lot of ways for California to move a bunch of forces over there either. So, as I've said a million times already, we shall see. Meanwhile, I've got to go to the distillery and get some work done because we've got some walls to build. We're going to build that wall, and then in a couple of weeks, hopefully in less than a month, I'll have the build-out videos starting to post up onto the channel where we have the installation of our steam generator. First, the build out of the electrical wall, the installation of the steam generator, the plumbing and electrical connection for the steam generator, and then our utility wall over on the other side, the first big wall for the tasting room, and then the bathroom installation. And then, once we have the bathroom installation, then it'll be time to do our office and have tours and Boy, things are going to get fun and interesting real fast at the distillery. Maybe we'll start having live shows and start our happy hour back up once we have live shows from the shop. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and saying hi and stopping in to see this nonsense that we're doing with our game time. If you are looking for the Old Humble Distilling Company's whiskey, you can find us all across the state of Texas at Specs and Total Wine. There it is, Specs and Total Wine. And very, very soon we will have hours where we are open to the public. How soon? I don't know, probably a couple of months. So, of course, I've been saying that since January of last year. Bear with me. We'll get this done. We'll get it all put together. Things move slow when you got a one-man shop. So just be patient. Thanks. I appreciate that. And in the meantime, be awesome to each other and get vaccinated. Talk to you later. Cheers. Bye-bye.